I haven't played bass for a few years, and one of the things when I picked it up is I found that I couldn't remember how to play things. It took me a couple 3 days for things to come back, and I was wondering why is this so difficult? Versus there are other things I remember from my band days years ago. I broke down a bunch of doors. We had some fires, a few other things, and pyrotechnics got out of hand. Those memories are rock solid, but as far as playing the instrument or remembering songs or set lists, that was difficult. And where that ties into neurobiology is that semantic memory is less, doesn't have the staying power, I guess, as that episodic does, or emotional memory, which is triggered by the amygdala. And I'll dig into the neuroanatomy of that in a little bit. The other thing is music in and of itself is kind of a strange beast. It's language, so one would think that Broca's area and the Wernicke area are the two that would be uh, very involved. But things change depending upon context. If a person is playing music for the first time, parts of the brain are involved. If it's something that's rehearsed, it can almost become automatic. And in fact, that's a little bit on the dangerous side, is if you rely on your implicit memories or your procedural memories to play music, and I've done this, is you can kind of brain fade a little bit, and all of a sudden you'll forget where you were and you'll be totally flustered. So the key in learning a piece is to avoid it becoming too automatic, in that you want to trigger your semantic and your episodic memories while you're learning. So you've got that as an additional hook into there. And that's easier said than done, but that's outside the scope of this video. One of the things that's interesting or challenging is the fact that research on music and memory is so very difficult to do. Typically, what they look at are patients that have had some sort of deficit show up. For example, we'll be looking a little bit on a PET CT scan of an Alzheimer's patient and looking at their symptoms. They can kind of give us some ideas as to what would be going on as far as music goes. But it's not like you can give a person a bunch of radio tracers for experimental purposes to try and track that down, so you're left with functional MRI. The problem with that is, here's my bass, you know, it's big, so, and it's also got a lot of metal in it, and you can't put that inside the MRI tube. It'd corrupt the field, number one. As the field sweeps, those strings would be getting hot, and there'd be all sorts of bizarre things going on. So as far as a bass in an MRI, it would have to be a custom designed instrument just for that. Okay, we're going to take a look at a coronal view of the human brain. This is a composite CT and PET scan. Okay, I believe it's starting to show up, or at least it should be right around in this area. And then as we scroll further, it's it right over in this area. And the hippocampus is key for memory. This is probably the tail end of the hippocampus right here, these two little areas. And we're on the left lateral surface right now, and I'm going to scroll medially. This is the superior temporal lobe where it curves up a little bit. This is Wernicke's area, and this is Broca's area over here, and both were called out as important for processing music information. But there's also a bunch of things going on medially in the deeper sections of the brain, and that would be the basal ganglia, which is comprised of a number of different components. I believe we're starting to see the caudate nucleus, which is part of the basal ganglia. And now we're coming up on the very center section of the brain. One of the things that's I really like about the neurobiology of everyday life is it fills in like a 10,000 foot level. I took medical neuroscience, and now it's a really cool course, a really intense, super crazy course, but incredibly insightful. The problem is they give you all the little tiny bits, but nothing of the whole, and that's what makes this neurobiology of everyday life course so cool. is that you get to see all the pieces and how they fit together without going into the great depth of I guess it's a med student course.